proud that we become aware of these obstacles, this heightened state of awareness. Our change curve tends to follow the same pattern as the rest of the objects in our known world. When we reach that height, sometimes, and unfortunately, there's really only one way to go. And many times, it's a steep free fall. I present to you Opioids and the Cascading Effects on My Family by Amy Holcomb. Amy is the Director of Utilization Review at Sedgwick. She is a skilled practitioner with more than 30 years of nursing experience. And despite her increasing roles and increasing responsibilities in the industry, Amy continues to play a vital role for those members of her community who find themselves in the most difficult of low places, as she performs the noble work of victim assistance in the Travis County Sheriff's Office in Austin. It is my privilege to introduce to you Amy Holcomb.
Hello. I'd like to share a story with you about my family. 115177, that's my son's new name. 115177 is his federal prison inmate name. See, my son is in prison for opioid abuse. I'm sharing this story with you. I've not shared it with anyone, to let you know what you can do and what is at stake here. My son hurt his back, lumbar sprain strain. He went to the doctor. He's prescribed hydrocodone and Soma. After about 6 to 9 months of hydrocodone and Soma, he decided he needed more and he needed to get some more drugs. So he sold his hydrocodone and Soma that the carrier paid for and used that to go to physicians that took cash only for their services and pharmacies that took cash only. They gave him oxycodone, OxyContin, hydrocodone, Soma, and Valium. Eventually, my son got caught selling his medications. We hired an attorney to represent him. The attorney got all the charges dropped if my son agreed to go to rehab. So off to rehab he went. This is the first of 5 rehabs. When my son went off to rehab, he left drama behind. My husband and I received a call one evening that my son owed them a lot of money, and if we didn't pay what he owed, they were going to come and kill us. Fortunately, that did not happen, but later that evening, we heard our neighbor's dogs barking and barking, and we went outside and someone threw a Molotov cocktail in one of our vehicles. If those dogs wouldn't have woke us up, that car would have exploded, and the car was right up next to the garage. My son failed out of rehab, and we wouldn't let him come back home and live with us. He's living out on the street or sleeping on people's couches. One day I saw my son in the park. He was disheveled, skinny. It didn't look like him. I asked him to come to a home and have dinner. So he came over for dinner, clearly high on something. My husband asked him to leave, and my son refused to leave. My son and my husband got into a fight, so my husband left. At that time, my son became very agitated. He took all the food, threw it on the floor, started punching the walls. He grabbed his younger brother by the neck and held him at knife point. I ran over to the neighbor's house and was able to call 911, and SWAT came and handled the situation. Again, off to rehab. That's what mothers do. As you can imagine, by that time, my husband and I, we have been married 29 years. We're fighting constantly. My husband started drinking heavily. Sometimes he wouldn't even come home in the evenings. When he would come home, he'd be abusive to us. It just was not a good situation. All our friends shunned us, our neighbors shunned us. My other children's friends were not allowed to come to our home, and I understood that. I wouldn't let my children. So I packed up the clothes on my back with my daughter, and I left. I moved to Austin, Texas. While I was in Austin, my son called me and said, "Mom, I really want to go to rehab. Will you help me go?" I said yes. So I took a loan out, and off he went to rehab. He successfully completed this rehab and he came back to live with my daughter and myself. Things were going really good, or so I thought. One day he told me he met a girl online and he was going to go visit her in Dallas. I'm like, go ahead, do what you need to do. I came home from work, my TVs were gone, my DVD players were gone, my laptops were gone, my credit cards, checkbooks, and cash I had laying around were gone. I went into his room, and under the mattress, he had foil, a spoon, syringes, and needles. So I knew he never got clean. Why I'm telling this story to you is because you have the power to help stop this. If someone at one point would have said, every month after month, seeing hydrocodone requests coming across their desk, asking for approval from the adjuster, someone should have questioned that for a lumbar sprain strain. But no one did. So my plea to you and my challenge to you is, when you start seeing opioids come across the desk, month after month after month, start questioning that. Is it medically necessary? You can send that out for review, for peer review, for utilization review. Just because a doctor wrote it doesn't mean it's necessary, medically necessary. And not for 6 months, not for 8 months. I've seen some injured workers on it for 14 years. I don't understand why. So my challenge to you is, please think about this when you see those requests come across your desk for opioids. You have the power to save a family. So I'm asking you to use that power. Thank you.